Well, it's Sunday night. What that means, I'm Ryan Evan Schroet, joined by Kevin Ducey. What's up, Kev?
What's up, man? Playing like I've been hanging around Tomislav and Visic too much, but we're hanging in there, so let's do it.
As long as you've been kissing the same lady, my friend, that's all that matters.
Only my wife, man. But
Yeah.
the flu is kicking in in the Ducey household, so bear with me tonight.
Yeah, my son had influenza A and ear infection earlier in the week. So, it was a little lingering around kind of this week. So I understand how that goes. A lot going on. But so Illinois had an interesting week, right? And I always enjoy the fan base reaction to things. I just feel like sometimes it's so hard for people to see like big picture things, Kev, because like, sure, losing by 21 at home to Maryland, it looked ugly at the end of the day. But the fact that it was that close with as bad as they played and not having a key cog for them, like, yes, KJ has the ball in his hands for the most part, but who is the guy that really is facilitating a lot of the offense, like we saw at Michigan State? It's Thomas
and spreading the defense, right? He is such like I bet you go back and look at games where he shot well from three. I bet you we're probably undefeated. When he spreads the floor, he makes so much available happen to the offense because he's drawing rim protectors away from the rim that allows guys like KJ and Boswell and Trey and everybody else to get downhill. So you couple that, and then you're playing Maryland, who, dude, I was reading up on it before the game. I was looking at their stuff, and I'm like, I hadn't watched them play too much, and I'm like, dude, if Derek Queen is bought in and comes to play, like, this is going to be a tough game for us.
We needed Tomislav to beat Maryland,
and then we don't have Tommy on top of it, and then Merez gets. My God, that second foul on him is one of the worst calls I've ever seen in my life, and that's coming off after the Michigan State game where KJ got thrown to the ground and got called for a foul. So it's you get put in foul trouble, and Kerry Booth played a season high, I think, in minutes against Maryland, and that's a good basketball team, guys. I think one of the things we're forgetting, they have three guys on their roster that have made 35 threes. Three. If you watched them against Indiana today, Rice and Miguel and Jacoby were cooking from outside. All three of those guys have made 35 or more threes going into the game against Illinois. Illinois has one guy all season who's made 35 threes up to that point, and that's Rickhouse, and we're one of the better three-point shooting teams from an overall make standpoint in the country. So you do that, they just cause a lot of problems for you. And Julian Reese went off, and we could have played better defense. We could have played with more effort. I think we saw that tonight. That was something, a key focus. He wasn't terribly efficient. It was a turnovers thing, and we just couldn't stem the tide against Maryland. And I think that's a really good basketball team. I think I'm going to stand here on this. I would not be surprised if we're in the second weekend of the tournament and Maryland looks like they've got a good chance to be an Elite Eight team, an outside chance at a Final Four. And I'm not being – that's all going to depend on matchups, because when Queen comes to play, very rarely do you have two bigs who can move like him and Reese with three wing players who can shoot like those three guys do.
Queen's going to be a first-round draft pick, bottom line.
He's a potential lottery. He's a mid-first pick, and Julian Reese is, a fifth-year senior?
Julian Reese, any team in the league would be lucky to have Julian Reese. Like, he's a big dude who's tough around the lane, and he's really good about finishing within 10 feet. And when you don't have Tomislav, I knew it was going to be a long night. So, okay.
Well, and you couple that with the fact, Reese had a big night against us, but he wasn't especially efficient. He took a whole bunch of shots to get there. But that's like you said, those are good basketball players. He took 23 shots to get 27 points.
And don't get me wrong, there was a couple moments like Hummerkaus blocked the shot once, and a couple times they forced him to miss some. But if you give one-on-one with Julian Reese in the paint, he's going to score more times than he's not. That's just how it is. He did that last year against us too. So
and they just beat the Indiana team on the road. And I know that Indiana's not very good. I don't think that we think Indiana's some world beater. They are tough at home. They only lost one game at home coming into today, and that was against us.
Malik Renew had to play, otherwise they were going to get eaten alive in the post.
Right, and if there's any team that can match up with them from that perspective, it's Indiana and or Michigan. And because with Renew and Ballo being in there, and
Yep.
Maryland still found a way to win because of the way they shot from the outside. It's a loss that looks bad because of the final total, and
Well,
Maryland.
it didn't hurt our net though, Kev.
No, it didn't.
Nothing hurts Illinois' net because of games like today. Even though Illinois should have probably won by more like 15 to 20,
Yes.
I didn't really like the way, like, with 5 minutes left, it was just kind of like, hey, let's keep jacking up threes and let's just leave everybody open because that guy shoots 10% from deep. I'm like,
yeah, they had 3 guys who were 11 for 68 on the season from 3. Then ended up going 3 for 5 in the last 5 minutes. It's kind of weird. We should have won by 20. We got up 20, and like you said, Ryan, we went real ISO heavy. I think I even tweeted that. I think we had guys today start really searching for their shot, trying to get their own stats today, and that happens. What it is a coaching moment for Brad, like for them. We haven't responded really all that well after our big dump truck win, so we didn't get one today. So Brad's going to be able to get on their ass in practice.
Oh, yeah.
Thursday night we go to typically a tough place to play. Nebraska's reeling a little bit,
but here's why Thursday's dangerous as we get into break down Northwestern a little bit, and let me finish my point about the fan base about feeling like the sky's falling. So Nebraska is going to be us today on Thursday because
against the wall. 6 in a row.
They got dog walked, as you would say, today in Madison. They've been getting beat up a lot on the road, and then they lost a close one to USC at home early last week. So they need this one if they have any hope of making the NCAA tournament. The things are kind of been really falling off the rails for them. They've got some really good players like Bryce Williams and
Jawan Gary.
Yeah, Juwan Gary, but there's no Keisei Tominaga for them this year.
No.
They picked up Connor Essegian from Wisconsin. He's good for maybe 1 or 2 threes a game usually, but Keisei is a guy that could go off for 5 or 6 in a row and save the day for them. They don't have anybody like that this year, but they do have some nice bigs that I've seen who can stretch the floor some, and they've got just a lot of role players out there. But still, it's a dangerous place to play because they're desperate to win. They're going to need to win. Illinois cannot take it for granted. I think they need to show up like this is their tournament's on the line here. I mean, it's not, but so Illinois' net, it's in the top 10. You still get a 9-point win over Northwestern. Their net's probably not going to move much at all, maybe a point up, if anything. It's a quad 2 win today, so. The Maryland loss looks ugly. Didn't hurt the net because Maryland now is going to be is a top 20 net team.
Here's the thing: all 18 Big Ten teams are now in the top 100.
Yeah, so there is no bad losses really per se out there. Like Minnesota would be a quad 2 loss now in Minneapolis
on the road. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not so dangerous anymore. Doesn't look as great. Don't want to lose that one. But if you've noticed here, they beat Michigan at home. They just beat Oregon at home. Minnesota isn't that like easy game that many people thought. So then you get Rutgers, and Rutgers is not the same team when Dylan Harper's out. He's been out with an injured ankle and wasn't able to play 100% against Michigan State Saturday. But anyway, I digress. So.
Well, I think the thing that we learned today, though, right? And, you look at some of these upcoming matchups, the Ace Baileys of the world, the Dawson Garcias, man, like you wonder, man, should Merez have got more tick against Northwestern and Evanston because that guy put Martinelli in the clamps. And I don't care that Martinelli had 17 points.
How many shots? Yeah.
I think almost 20. I mean, it was in a lot of it came from the 3-point line, which if you're going to force him to take threes, you're for that. So it was just,
I know it was almost 2 months ago. Me and you had our little debate about that. I remember saying like they should have kept Merez in there longer on Martinelli, and because they kept Hummerkaus on him, and that's where he was getting his points. And at that point, I know Brad didn't realize how it was going to. You don't know beforehand. But to me, at halftime, you could kind of tell what was happening. And I'm thinking, Merez, he ain't going to push Merez around, So I think they watched.
He's not any quicker. He's not.
So they watched the film. They figured it out. Merez needed to play more today anyway. So smartly, put Hummerkaus on the big
Nicholson.
man who doesn't have any game really around
Well,
the
no
rim.
real offensive game. I don't think he scored a bucket today.
Yep. So Hummerkaus could play the 5 today, and Merez could play the 4. So with today's game, though, the Maryland game, you kind of knew today this team would show up. You knew 2 days of practice. Things were going to be different. And, from the moment what was the first play of the game, Kev? What did KJ do? Get a tip, and he dove and got
And
a jump.
Merez dove.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he got a jump ball. You kind of knew today what Illinois was going to bring. And if Illinois could have made anything early, KJ would have had a triple-double today. Like, dude, he's got some of the craziest passes that are like, you don't see that in college, and Illinois missed a bunch of them. He had 11 points, 10 rebounds, and 7 assists.
Yeah, it was late in the game. He kicked the ball out to Hummerkaus at the top of the key, and nobody within 3 feet of him. And Hummerkaus, and I'm like, "What are you doing, man? Shoot that shot! I want that assist." But it's probably a smart move to try to run some clock. But yeah, what we're learning with this team and what is happening, which is actually a good sign, with KJ being out and with Tommy being out, is that you're finding out what other guys can do. Right? We were forced to play Jake Davis probably more than we anticipated after the first handful of games. Guy comes in, what did he give us? 11 today off the bench. Second double-digit game in Big Ten play. Had 12 against Oregon. Dre Gibbs Lawhorn did not have his best day today, but has been phenomenal of late. Merez, you realize that, hey, listen, we got the athletic 4s that are going to come bang us. We can go put Merez on him, and we can still hey, listen, if you're going to put an athletic Merez on a guy like Martinelli, that's awesome. Because when Tommy gets back, you put Tommy on Nicholson. Then Nicholson's got to come out and guard Tommy from the outside, and then Merez can go eat Martinelli's lunch in the post. Because Martinelli can't really guard him in the post. So
it's going to help us for the future because it sounds like he's going to put Ben Hummerkaus at the 3, Merez at the 4, and Tommy at the 5. And then you got KJ and Boswell there. It sounds like Trey White may be the odd man out in those situations, but I think Trey's not one of those guys that has to start to feel like he's.
I thought Trey was solid today. I thought he did a little shot hunting, but he looked a little bit better than he did, obviously, against Maryland. So
Will Riley, we just need some consistency, just a little bit, man.
It's
just a little consistent. It's like at the end of the day, I get he's young, right? Well, KJ's young. There's a lot of freshmen that are young, but towards the end of the year, as you're getting there, it's okay to just say, we'd like you just to kind of make those open 10, 15 footers, Yeah.
One thing that I thought Will did really well today is I thought he went to the glass, and I thought he made some hustle plays. He got a foul trying to get a board. So I'm okay with that. I'm just shocked when he misses the open threes like he's doing. It just blows.
Yeah.
It's just mind-boggling to me that we got Northwestern guys who are 1 of 11 from the year from 3 are making them, but are 1 of 15, and Will Riley can't make two wide open looks from 3. So.
I know it is bizarre, and it's like NBA's draft. NBA teams don't care if those are going down right now. I still get such a chuckle watching him dribble that ball. He looks like a guy what's your bet? Would it be a guy who hasn't skated in a while and he's just out there on skates, kind of?
Yeah, but he doesn't get the ball taken from him.
No.
He doesn't. So it's
he doesn't.
He doesn't turn the ball over much.
He's got Barnheiser struggled today real bad. So anyway, Illinois took care of business.
Put the clamps on old Barnheiser.
Yeah, old Barnheiser. But Illinois kept both of those guys under their averages. So you said Martinelli had 17 today?
On 19 shots.
Yeah, and he averages 19.9 a game. So
he took 9 threes. Well, I think we'll take Martinelli taking 9 threes a game anytime we play those guys.
What do you make, 3 of them?
Yeah.
Okay, 3 out of 9. Yeah, you'll take that.
You'll take 9 shots from 3. Go ahead, man.
So
who you are.
Illinois 14-6, 6-4 in Big Ten. They're tied for 5th, I think. They're right there. Still in position. Still a team. I'm not looking at to win the Big Ten regular season. I'm looking at a team that can get a double bye. I think that's still there. I think they can fight for that and get that double bye in the big regular season, which is going to be big. But it's going to be I would say 2 through 7 right now is going to be a real big tussle. Michigan State is going to lose 3 or 4 eventually, but I think this is their title to lose at the moment. just with their schedule and you look at it, I think they'll probably lose to Maryland. I think we're going to clip them in Champaign. I think they have to go to Purdue and Michigan, something like that. I think those are 4 that
they got a brutal stretch in February where they go
4 losses there. I still think Purdue and Michigan and Maryland are end up with like 5 losses, probably something like that.
Yeah, they got to go to the West Coast swing, play USC and UCLA. Now, I don't think that either one of those teams are great, but it is a challenge going out there. We've seen
I think they'll split that. They'll probably split that.
You've seen some teams come back from that trip and lag a little bit. Then they get Oregon, Indiana, us, Purdue. They get Purdue at home, and then they go on the road to Michigan. They have a stretch where they go at Illinois, Purdue at home, at Michigan. That's a real tough stretch. So,
yeah. No, and I completely agree with this from my boy Aaron here. This is the key for Illinois fans. If we get healthy and rolling, nobody will want Illinois in their bracket. So let's say Illinois is like a 5 seed, okay, in the tournament, NCAA tournament, or a 6 seed. I can promise you the 4 and the 3 are not going to want to see Illinois in that second round. So to me, no, Brad, we're not a football school right now. I think we're doing good. We're doing really good with recruiting.
This is funny. Everybody wants to brag on Brad Underwood because we lost to Maryland, who's a really good team, but we forget that we gave up 46 points in the second half to one of the worst football teams in college football this past year. Like, yeah, I love what we're doing in football, and I'm as bullish on the football team as you can possibly be. But like, let's get real here, guys. Like, Brett Bielema makes mistakes too. Like, come on.
Sean, who beats Michigan State? I think UCLA beats them in Pauley Pavilion. I think Illinois beats them in Champaign. I think Michigan beats them in Ann Arbor.
I think they're early flame out in the NCAA tournament too.
Yeah, I don't think Michigan State, who will end up probably being
Maryland. They go.
Yeah.
Oregon at home, Indiana at home, at Illinois, Purdue at home, at Michigan, at Maryland.
Yeah, I see. I still think they'll
have a fun February, boys. I mean, it's not Alabama's February, by the way. Anybody else? Then they get Wisconsin, and then at Iowa.
Yeah, I will say Michigan State's going to end up probably 15-5. I think the winner of the league probably is either 15-5 or 14-6. As it has been.
Yep.
Illinois still controls its own destiny. I think Illinois can run off the next 4 or 5 in a row, man, and then you're looking at 10 or 11-4, and let's just see where you're at. Like, yes, you still have to go to Wisconsin. Yeah, that's going to be a tough one. You got to finish with Purdue at home, but that's a game Illinois owes Purdue after all these years. I'm still picking Illinois at that game. Like, there's no way they're just going to keep losing to Purdue every year. I just don't see it.
Yeah, they got to step up and win a couple road games next week. Rutgers and Minnesota, which both teams are talented, man. They got guys who can make plays and they play well at home. So
if Illinois beats Nebraska Thursday and takes care of Ohio State Sunday, I believe, and they split
the old 11 o'clock game on Sunday.
Another 11 a.m. Is that one's on CBS probably, right?
It is, yeah.
So if Illinois takes care of business against Ohio State, and if they split the Rutgers Minnesota road trip, dude, I'm not going to complain about that. Like,
no, I want to hold serve. I want to rip off. I want to win the rest of the games up to Duke, and then see what kind of momentum and what kind of jazz.
Oh yeah, I think Illinois is going to give Duke a game there, especially if Tomislav's healthy.
From what I understand, like, he doesn't have an enlarged spleen, so that's huge because an enlarged spleen would probably ended his season. To be honest with you, I got an enlarged spleen late summer. Between my freshman and sophomore year of high school, and I couldn't play football. My baseball season ended. I couldn't play football, and I couldn't try out for the basketball team. I was actually allowed to come on the basketball team halfway through the season, like after the new year. So,
you had mono, but you had an enlarged spleen.
Yeah, so it knocked me out for 6 months. Yeah.
So this is the one. This is because I've known guys who had mono who were out for just a couple weeks. It sounds like.
Yeah, it sounds. If he had an enlarged spleen, I would suppose he's done for the season, but they haven't said that, so that's a good thing.
Okay, yeah.
What can happen is any kind of blow to the midsection, you can bleed out internally before you even know something's wrong. All of a sudden, you fall down on the court and you can die.
Yep. Then that's, you know what? As much as we'd like having Tomislav out there, that's not worth it. So
no, absolutely not. So.
It's not worth it. Mm-hmm. The dude's going to be an NBA player in the next 2 or 3 seasons. So.
Yep.
Anyway, so game plan while Tomislav is out, Kev. What would you like to see in the meantime? Obviously today, I think you're just going to have to specifically, to me, You have to look at the opponent every week, and they've got to manipulate how they in the past, sure, they did different type of game plans, but it was still offensively. We run the pick and roll, pick and pop. That's what we're going to do. That's our thing. They're not going to be able to do that as much now with Merez. So let's say it's Nebraska Thursday. What game plan? Because they've got some bigs who can shoot. Merez isn't taking threes. What does Illinois need to do until they get Tomislav back?
Well, I think what Illinois creates with Merez, and we saw it today, is with the velocity and the force that he rotates on the pick and rolls are going to eventually draw eyeballs in, and there's going to be opportunities for KJ or Kylan coming off those screens with Merez to kick out. So I think you're going to continue to see Jake Davis. I think it helps Jake Davis. I think there's some opportunities there that you're drawing men inside on him. I think I think it's going to help Ben, to be honest with you. I think it helps any of the guys who are more of the spot up shooters. The penetrators really love it when Tommy's in, or the slashers or the cutters, because Tommy spreads the floor. Merez has a gravitas that people are going to come around him, dude. And by the way, I'm shocked the guy only had 9 rebounds. He was everywhere today. His energy, his hustle, his effort was like contagious. And so, I mean, there's another guy I think Dre works better when Tommy's in, even though Dre played really well against Maryland. So I foresee Illinois doing more like they did today, hardcore pick and roll actions with Merez, doing some of that Spain look where you got Ben Humrickhouse going to leak out to the top and he knocked it down, and just continue to look for that. And then maybe KJ's scoring is what it is with Tommy, but I would imagine his assist numbers might jut up. And he had 7 today. I'd still, I hate to say this because I think Boswell played pretty well today. He was not great against Maryland at all, even though he, had a lot of points. I think I'd like to see Dre some more. I really would, man. I think.
That man's confidence is. I think if Trey White had Dre's confidence, I think Trey could be an All Big Ten type guy. Dre's confidence, though, and just he ain't worried about if he just made a mistake the shot and play before. Here's an example. So Ty Berry got a 3 off on him earlier did you watch that? And Brad was on his ass. And then what did Dre do coming down? He was like this. I got this shit, He's like, I got it. And he was all over it, man. He went around the curls. Follow was on his ass.
The one thing he wasn't doing as well today is he doesn't navigate the screens nearly as well as Kylan does, and he was getting beat a little bit on defense. And so he's got to work on that. He is more athletic. He is quicker. He's faster than Kylan, but he just doesn't have that ability to sneak through the screens the way Kylan does. Kylan sneaks through the screens so incredibly well, especially for as thick as he is. He's not as slight as Trent. Trent was the best we've ever seen do it. So, I think what Lucas Kolbrecki just said is true. I think this is a Final Four team. I think Brad's right. I think it has every ability to do it. I think guys being out and developing confidence in ways that we can win without guys creates opportunities for us to be, hey, if somebody's having an off night, we can bring somebody else in and they can come in and contribute. So
here's my example. If Purdue, let's say USC goes to West Lafayette and Braden Smith's out, you think that's going to affect you? You think that's going to affect Purdue?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge for Illinois right now is we were coming into our own. We were starting to find the continuity. And you and I talked about this at length back in August, back in June, whenever, about, hey, listen, you got all these new players. It's going to be hard to kind of find your roles and settle in. Guys were starting to settle in, and then KJ got hurt, okay? And then KJ comes back, and then he barely plays against Michigan State, so you can count that one as not playing. Tommy's sick.
One game against Indiana to see them whole.
Right, and then they're not whole again, and so that's where I think that this team can be special. Is that, and I think it's actually, I must say it again, these guys not playing has allowed for guys like Merez Johnson to step up, guys like Jake Davis to step up, guys like Dre Gibbs Longhorn to step up, and I think we all expected it from Dre and Merez. I don't think we necessarily expected it from Jake. I think we probably expected it from Kerry Booth probably coming into the season. We probably would have had him above Jake on the depth chart.
Yep.
And then we see glimpses of what Will Riley did at Michigan State, and it's there. The ability's there. So and regardless, he's got the ability to go get to the hoop and get to the rack and make some tough shots, and he did that today.
And he's got to be tougher around the rim. There was a play earlier in the game. You remember he got a drive and Then he had
Just
a guy.
dunk the dang thing, dude.
Yeah, he had a guy 6 inches shorter than him block his shot. And then he went back up the second time and missed the little bunny. It rolled around the rim, and I'm like, dude, just he does everything he can to avoid contact.
He
Like
needs another year of Body by Fletch, and he will be a lottery.
yeah. Oh, no doubt he will. It's just I wish there was a way to just put that program in his head and just be like, go attack the contact. You're going to go to the line instead of avoiding it. And then you avoid it. Then they won't just, they're not always going to give you the whistle if you avoid it. So, and then you throw up this wild ass shit, over your head. And they were going in against Michigan State. So it looked really good. Today you told you all need to know about Kerry Booth. Yeah. Booth is a guy who had to play against Maryland because they had to have a body 6'10-ish to just go in there to try to battle and get some rebounds and get a block or two. Kerry just does not block shots that well, and he's not a great rebounder. I think Brad in the postgame said, like, look how many minutes he played in the game. He didn't have one defensive rebound the whole time. So that's the thing about Booth that he does not care about. So everybody talks about Illinois' 3-point per shooting, Kev. So they're shooting like 30% from deep, and they're shooting the most threes in the league, right? So they're shooting like 17th in the league in percentage. But here's the thing. Here's why Illinois has been able to be successful and win, because their margin of rebounding, okay? They dominate the glass, so they give themselves second chance opportunities quite a bit. That's why their points per possession are really high, because they may miss a bunch of threes, but they're going and rebounding them, Kevin, and getting second and third opportunities.
Yeah, you watch a lot of those. You see Dre come in and get them. You see Will Riley come in and get them. You see Jake Davis, Rickhouse, Boswell. These guys all do really good job coming in and crashing and grabbing these long rebounds, which are created on the threes. You actually saw it. We had a couple threes went in and out today. And what happens? The defensive rebound. The threes that were the long rebound threes, even for Northwestern, happened. They got a couple offensive rebounds on misses that come off the rim hard. Any miss that comes off the rim hard favors the offensive rebounding team to go get an offensive rebound, and that's why we're doing it. That's why the metrics say to do it. That's why the metrics hate the mid range. That's why Illinois wants teams to take the mid range, and that's okay. So,
Sleeve Nash, thank you for jumping on from the Discord. And yes, Jake Davis came on our show and he told us that he knows his role. And he's going to do anything that Brad Underwood asked him to do. And that's why Brad Underwood sings his praises, Kev. Today in the post-game presser, he said, you know what? I love Jake Davis. He knows his role and he's the ultimate role player and he does it so well. Like, he'll rebound when you need him to. He'll make open shots. He'll attack the rim. He's a really good cutter. If you saw some of him, in the fast break they ran today, he was a beautiful rim runner. Dre hit him in stride there for that layup, and he's had a couple against Oregon. Remember how many diving, slashing layups he had? 2 or 3 of them.
And he's tough. Like he's bigger than I thought too. I bet you he looks all of 6'7" out there, right? And
he's probably about 230 pounds too.
Yeah, so. He's physical. Like he doesn't he's not the fleetest of foot of guys, but I'd like to see him get a dunk. That'd be kind of cool.
He could put it down really quick. Before we finish up with him, happy birthday to Justin Began. And he says, facing a little adversity now should make this team much better come March, hopefully. I think we all agree with that. Again, happy birthday, Justin.
Yeah. And by the way, I want to give a big kudos and a shout out to the officials today.
Oh, yeah.
Like it was not a free throw fest. Like it was, I don't know if any team got in the bonus in the first half.
Very little free throws today.
Like I said, I was under the weather. So right after church today, I just watched the Indiana and Maryland game, and there was like 3 minutes to go, and neither team was in the bonus. And I'm like, hey, man, this makes for enjoyable basketball. Can we try to do this a little bit more? So.
Yeah, it's really good when you don't know the officials' name, like when you don't have to know who the officials are, right?
There's still a couple of them I'm shaking my head at today, but like it's all right. Like that's okay.
It's okay. When it's a couple, you live with it. When it's every other call, that's the problem.
When you get homered at home,
I was just Maryland. Kevin, when was the last time Illinois had like a great whistle at home where you were like, man, they screwed the other team?
Probably against Chicago State.
Yeah, nobody cares about that though.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, I mean, the one Maryland one, I mean, like the one on Merez, and then the one where they came down, they had basket interference. We didn't have Big Ten officials today.
They weren't Big Ten officials today. Oh, well, dang. I guess they were busy, man. They probably had tea times or something.
No wonder it looked like a real
Yeah,
basketball
those
game.
guys did look different. I didn't know the one with the really dark tan and the black hair. I
Good
was like, who
Lord.
the hell is that guy? But you know what? I think Brad and Josh might need to put in for those guys for Ohio State next Sunday, right?
I mean, yeah, that'd be all right with me. I mean, Northwestern got called for 17 fouls. We only had 10, so of course we like it.
Well, I'm just saying. Okay, I will say this though: when one team's being the aggressor, one team's getting more offensive rebounds and attacking the rim. That's why you get it. So I understand that.
No, Sleeve, I completely agree with you that what the officials did not cost us the game against Maryland. It just cost us the opportunity to compete when we're already down a big guy and we're playing a team with two big guys, and a guy gets ran into by Julian Reese, and it would have been second foul on Julian Reese instead it's a second foul on Merez Johnson. It makes a difference in the ballgame. Like it just does. So, and then Sean, I don't know. We don't know when Visich will be back. Like I think there's a chance he can play Thursday, but he's not going to be able to play starter minutes. He's going to be very winded. So we'll see.
I would say this. I would just say expect at the earliest Sunday against Ohio State. I would say let's just plan for Thursday to be out. Give him another week, I think, to rest up. But then that next game is middle of the week. I think is it Rutgers or Minnesota first, Kev?
Rutgers. Yeah,
I think that Rutgers game probably.
I'd halfway venture to guess he dresses and plays 10 minutes against Nebraska. That's a guess.
Yeah, and guess what? We'll take those 10 because that's still going to space the floor.
Yep. And his passing is elite, right? So
yeah.
And they might be in 2-minute stretches too. So that's gonna be the biggest challenge. You come back from mono, you just don't have the same. You don't have the same amount in your gas tank. So, and so if he could only go 10 minutes, and Ryan, you're probably right. They probably save him for Ohio State.
Yep. So I will say though, as we mentioned this before we get to final thoughts.
Oh no, we got to talk about football recruiting, don't we?
Yeah, we do. Before we get to final thoughts, guess what I said?
All right,
there's fire coming from the Smith Center. That's just what I'm hearing. So obviously, Illinois in the 2026. I've mentioned it a couple times. Their football recruiting class 2026 is going to be Brett Bielema's what's the best way to say it?
Crown jewel.
Yeah, the crown jewel. The one you put up in the Louvre, right? Hang it in the Louvre, right? It's going to be a top 25 class. I really feel good about that. Definitely inside the top 30. So you add that with their coaching ability and just how they're able to, build depth and get guys to grow into roles and to accept roles and to just be the ultimate team guys and develop. That's the biggest point here. So they had a huge junior day weekend, the likes of JC Anderson, Max Suter, commits like Michael Clayton and Kenyon Alston from Florida. You saw Michael Clayton was there helping recruit Max Suter in Dunlap, which is amazing to see that. But you had other guys like Vic Singleton coming in, Toledo 4-star that defensive back coach Corey Parker has a really good relationship with, it doesn't hurt either when you can wear Quan Martin Commander jerseys like Aaron Henry was today at the State Farm Center, repping all those really good NFL players they've got who played today in NFC and AFC championship games. There was one in the AFC championship game. I forgot. It was DeJuan Smoot.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
It's on the Bills. And real quick, the only mention I'm going to talk, because I know Sean always likes to talk. I feel for Josh Allen, man. I do. I feel for Josh because it's like at the end of the day, what's the man got to do to win a game? Like you get a bad spot on a 4th down where you pick it up and then you throw one on your back foot just with a great defensive call and you're able to hit your tight end and he can't catch it. It's like, man, I feel for that guy.
It's interesting is that Lamar and Josh are going to be the guys that have to carry that burden, and it's the same way that people like Peyton Manning had to do it for a few years because Tom Brady just wouldn't allow it, and so Yeah, I mean, I think
I think Josh will break through it, but like,
I think Lamar and Josh both played well enough for their teams to win. It just their defenses didn't. And did you score 29 points against the Chiefs this year? I mean, that's a win. You know.
yeah, I mean, I feel it's like I'm not trying to be a Chiefs hater, but it just sucks for a guy like Josh who. I'm not one of those guys to say like when a guy, when Jordan was winning all them titles, people probably hated the Bulls and all that too, But so anywho, so I feel for Josh. I think he's a great competitor and he's going to win one of these years. To finish up with that, Illinois kicking butt 2026. So I put in crystal balls for like Cam Thomas, who, Lakota West teammates from Grant Bierman. They had Jacob Alexander, defensive end from Lincoln Way East. Could be one to pop next. I put one in for him. Morgan Park, athlete, 4-star athlete who has offers from Michigan, Oregon, and other big time SEC schools. Nasir Rankin, I got a crystal ball in for him. I'm telling you, this isn't going to be the one where it's like Illinois had like 23 stars and 1 or 2 4-stars. Illinois is going to have about 5 to 6, if not more, 4-stars.
Yep, and that's the way you got to do it. Is that me or you that froze? I think everybody's hoping it's you.
What'd you say?
You froze. I wasn't on my end. I don't know if it was
you were froze. You were froze drinking your drink. Anyway, it was funny. So it's not. I don't know. Anyway, so these aren't your Tim Beckman 3-stars either. These were guys that like SEC. Like, okay, here's an example. Kenyon Alston, Missouri wants him really bad. Okay, SEC, Ole Miss. Like these are 10-win, top 15, top 20 teams that are wanting Illinois' recruits, and Illinois is picking them up. So this is going to be a really, really good class that, things are just going skyrocketing, and the 10-win year last year and this year's team that's going to compete for the college football playoff and then have a class set up like that, to keep killing it in the transfer portal, keep getting plug in the holes that you need. I don't see this thing stopping. I think that's what's super exciting.
Well, one thing you got to understand, these are high school kids, right? And
yeah, I'm not saying they're going to make an impact the first year.
No. What I'm saying is you got to understand the way that high school kids think. Harken yourself back to high school, and you asked yourself, you called up your buddy Trev, and you're like, "Hey, Trev, you going to the party?" He's like, "I don't know. Is Jeff going to the party?" So you call up Jeff. Jeff's like, "I don't know. Is Ryan going to the party?" And so call up Ryan. Ryan's like, "I don't know. Is Phil going to the party?" So you call up Phil, and Phil's like, "Is Trev going to the party?" And then finally, when somebody says they're going to the party, then everybody's going to the party. That's kind of what's happening right now. And Illinois is getting some guys that are coming to the party. What would be really nice, we've got Alexander, I believe. I think Illinois is feeling really good there. Jacob Alexander. He had a tweet tonight after Bielema said some. Jacob Alexander.
Did you not hear my stuff about Lincoln Way? Did you guys not get any of that?
Oh, I might have missed it. Sorry. But I
had some crystal balls for Rankin and Jacob Alexander from Lincoln Way East. Yeah.
All right. That's when you were froze on my end. It was probably my fault, but whatever. But like you get like Nasir Rankin's the number 1 kid in the state right now. Athlete. Like you get those guys, J.C. Anderson. I mean, the Michael Clayton thing, like that kid's a 4-star. I don't give a shit what anybody says. He'll be a 4-star recruit when it's all said and done. Like these guys are going to start to bring guys with them. They'll Pied Piper that, and I'm excited about what's going to come in this 26th class. I made a prediction on IlliniGuys.com that Illinois will get 3 of the top 10 kids in state. I think that's true. And Puma from Chicago Mount Carmel, another guy that we could really add to the list. That's a big offensive lineman. He's a top 10 kid. I know I've talked to some folks, Ryan. I know you have, that we're trailing for Max Suter. We have been trailing for Max Suter, but everybody says we're making up ground. So we'll see.
They're making up ground. So J.C. Anderson and him, together looks like they might want to play together. I know they're kind of close. I put a crystal ball in for Casey Tillman, the big offensive lineman from
Olney.
I think he likes being courted by the likes of Iowa State and others who've been coming in here recently. But sorry if you guys didn't catch some of the things I said.
That's my fault if they did. So sorry for being redundant.
No, it's all good. I'd mentioned it tonight, so I put in for Nasir Rankin and Jacob Alexander, and I said that Cam Thomas, I put one in for him earlier in the week. It sounds like he's going to be a February decision or announcement, but I'm hearing it's Illinois. So again, huge things. The offensive line, another one, 0-4 from Barrington. I think eventually he's going to jump on board.
This right outside the top 10 in state. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So this is going to be Illinois is going to be getting tons of the top 25 kids in state. I like. Then I think like your prediction though on Illini guys, by the way. So
and then the other guy that when you get this, when you start getting the role for the 26th, then it spurs the 27 class a little bit. Like if we had this momentum going last year, then maybe Burgess comes to Illinois, right? But I think the Wagner kid from St. Joe. Is it Wagner?
St. Joe. Yeah, the big kid. Yeah.
He's the number one sophomore in the state. You know, offensive lineman, 6'8". Dad went to Indiana, but I think you start to see what Illinois is doing. He could go play a lot closer to home. I think that what Illinois can do is really start driving in for the kids from the 27 class too. And Ryan, exactly what you said. This isn't Tim Beckman's 3 stars. I'll go to JJ Hurtis, Alan True. Your boy Mike Farrell have all talked about he was the best overall recruit in the MAC. And that's the 3-star kid that we end up flipping from Michigan to come to Illinois. Met the kid in Florida. So just really excited what's going on with Florida with recruiting. Sorry. And Sean Garner. I think you guys are overhyping Jaden Daniels. That's just my point, dude. He missed a lot of throws today. Funny what happens when a guy gets a little bit of pressure. Didn't get touched against Detroit. Looked all world. Today he's under pressure and he's completing right around 58, 59% of his passes. Didn't make any throws downfield really of substance. Dump offs. I'm the best rookie quarterback of all time. That's a bunch of nonsense. His numbers weren't better than CJ Stroud. I don't know if his numbers were better than Justin Herbert's. So I think Jaden Daniels is really good, but I think there's a lot of overhype, and you saw it today. He made mistakes today that just were like, eh. So
yeah. Yep. Well, I will say this.
I thoroughly enjoyed the Eagles kicking Washington's ass because I can't stand Washington.
Even though they've got several of our boys on that team, it's always good to see. I was about to say, Jason Ron was like, man, you really do have the scoop. Shit. He goes,
I'm like, where's Corey Parker at? I was looking. I didn't say anything. So I'm like Googling it right now.
I messaged him off while we were on this. Sorry. And I was thinking in my head, I take pride in being like in the know with the football program. Like I feel like I'm in the Smith Center. So I was like, Coach Parker's leaving. I was like, ooh, somebody's been keeping something from me. Who is that? So I was like, I messaged him over, and then he goes, oh no, I didn't mean that. Yeah, Richardson is getting a job with the Patriots. So how cool is that? They took Illinois' assistant defensive back coach, Richardson, who was actually a grad assistant for Bielema when he was at Arkansas. He played for him at Arkansas, then became a grad assistant. So it's reports of Rutgers coach going to Notre Dame. Why would Greg Schiano leave to go to Notre Dame? He would leave he must mean their defensive back coordinator.
Yeah, because Al Golden took it.
Yeah, because Al Golden was left to go to the NFL, I think, right?
The NFL, that's right. He's Cincinnati's defensive coordinator, and Jim Knowles left Ohio State to go to Penn State. It's kind of weird. So
yeah, so now Ohio State's got an opening at the defensive coordinator position. So anyway, a lot of big things going on.
Better not call Aaron Henry.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there are probably a couple more people in front of him.
Well, I was shocked he got called by Clemson, so that just shows what people are thinking. So,
okay, real quick, we'll get to final thoughts. Sean Garner, I am not a fan of Brian Schottenheimer as the Cowboys coach. He's just a yes man, and they literally had other really good options out there, and they took their time stalling to just basically say, yeah, we're not going to keep Mike McCarthy while all these other really good candidates are available. You don't want Robert Salah, but you want Schottenheimer.
Schottenheimer more?
Yeah, my point is Schottenheimer's just a yes man. So Jerry Jones can really be the coach and really make the decisions. It's until the man dies. That's what the Cowboys are always going to be. The Cowboys. So.
Hey Ryan, with Kevin Richardson going to the NFL, he was a DB's coach, right?
He was the assistant defense. Yes.
Terry Hawthorne.
Yeah, that'd be cool, dude. I think he's at SIU loving life, but to me, Do you want to go bump up to just come back to Illinois to be an assistant defensive backs coach, then leave your actual defensive back coach job at Southern? I don't
Yeah,
know. It's all
yeah.
about money. I think if the money's right, if you double his pay, let's say it was like 60 grand to like 120 grand, I would,
By the way, did you see who's being rumored for the Tampa Bay offensive coordinator position after Liam Cohen got the head job?
Yeah, Nathan Shieldhouse. Our boy Nady Shieldhouse.
That'd
Yep.
be pretty awesome.
How cool would that be to see him be a
I talked to Riley today. He says, dude, Nate loves him and his wife love in LA. It's really good to them. It'd be tough for him to leave. And
I mean, to go down to Tampa, I'm sure it'd be okay,
Right, I agree. No, Florida, no state tax. I think, but McVay might have some plans for Nate to move into offensive coordinator role eventually in LA. So,
yeah. Here's the thing: can I get that in writing?
Nathan Shieldhouse might be an NFL head coach before too long. So that's pretty darn cool.
Yep. Yes, he wants to be back here. Plus, better chance to move up. Hey, I'd take the freaking Black Cat. Come on, man.
Oh, dude, what open up St. Louis again? The Black Cat was here. Luther Burden would be a wide receiver at Illinois, in my opinion.
I still watch him. I still can see him running down Roundtree right now and saving the game against Michigan.
That was so awesome.
All right, we'll start with you, Kev. Final thoughts.
Final thoughts. Tough week for the basketball team. Let's not overreact to a loss too much. I think that this team is really built for March. I think that this team is. I'll go back to what I said earlier. When you have a team of almost completely new guys, it's really hard to gel. And right about the time they were gelling, they got hit with the injury bug with Kasparis and now the illness with Tommy. Well, they might have some more hiccups along the way. The net is really favorable to Illinois. So if Illinois finishes, 13-7 in conference, I still think a very reasonable 3 or 4 seed would be there. I'd love to get in that 3 line like we did a year ago, stay away from the ones as long as possible. But I think we're seeing in college basketball this year, Janai Broome played for Auburn. Tennessee lost by a bucket there. That's the number 1 team in the country. We lost by a bucket in our place to Tennessee. That's a 4-point swing. I think this team can play with anybody when it's right. And so don't jump off a cliff because we lose a basketball game, guys. It's okay. Like that's why there's a reason we play 30 of these. It's not like the college football. If we lose a game next year, to Duke or Indiana, which could really hurt our college football playoff chances early, it's a little bit different story. So
I second that 100%. Nobody will want to see Illinois in their bracket.
Nope.
I don't care. So really, most teams would probably be okay with Illinois being a 3 or a 4. No team. No, Illinois ends up a 6 or a 7 seed. I guarantee you, whoever the 2 or 3 is going to be pissed because that's not a good matchup for anybody. So I'm on board with Illinois as well there, and so no need to jump off the cliff. Now, my final thought, just real briefly here. We appreciate everybody who watches and just keep subscribing on YouTube if you haven't, trying to build that up. We appreciate all the viewers. Kev, we almost had 1,000 tonight,
awesome.
in the hour that we were on. And I just want to say this. We have a really good relationship with the Illini guys and great guys over there, Mike Cagley, Kedrick Prince, and Brad Sturdy, and we would love to have them on, but sadly, just other things outside of my control and Kev's control stop that. Sadly, so
we'll probably get Ket on here pretty soon. So
I don't know, Kev.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know, but Kev will still be able to go onto their stuff. And sadly, but yeah, we appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching.
Happy birthday, Jay.
Yeah, and happy birthday, Justin. We enjoy this. This is our little niche. This is where we go. But you guys make it fun, and I'll try to stop into the Discord at least once or twice a week. Sadly, there's always a couple sour grapes in there, and I just, got too much time for other stuff. That's right. Keep fly, Eagles, fly. Kev, really?
Get Sidney Brown a ring, baby. Let's go.
All right. Yep. We'll talk to you next weekend. Hopefully after a 2-0 week, setting at 16-6 and 8-4 and the Big Ten. Swami out.